Welcome to today's podcast, Healing Through Love, with Dr. Matt Singer, a holistic medicine specialist with an expertise in energy work, homeopathy, and works with people all around the world to help them remove emotions trapped in the body. And co-host Holly Celiano, a mother, intuitive healer, and well known to international audience as a resource for truth seekers on a variety of global concerns that are currently impacting humanity. Today's focus: only at the precipice do people find the will to change.
Good morning, everybody. I am Holly Celiano, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Matthew Singer. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Holly. It's such a pleasure to do this with you again.
Yes, it is. Today, we have a great topic that I think everybody can relate to. Only at the precipice will people find the will to change. And I know that's so true in my life, and you may also experience this in your life. Why is it, do you think, that people have to get to that breaking point, to that precipice where there is nothing left, they've given up, they don't see a way out, and that's when they find the will to change?
Because you just said it, because they've given up. And then when they give up, they surrender. And then when you surrender, you go back into your higher self, to your source, and then that's where all the answers are. And people always find the answer at the moment when they stop trying.
Correct. And I can say that is absolutely true in my life. When I have had situations in my life that it feels like I'm going to be consumed, that there is no way out, that's it, I'm going to just give up and I'm going to die. Like there is no other answer other than I'm going to die. That's it. This is the end. I surrender. I say, that's it, God. I can't do this. I turn it over to you. And somehow, some way in that moment when I'm on my knees at my breaking point, there is some surge of energy that comes in, a hope, a spark, an answer. It might not happen in that exact moment, but something shows up that says you can get through this, or somebody will call and say, here, do this, or something out of the blue happens.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's exactly right. And you know, what I know to be true is that we are all connected. And one of the laws of the universe says the all is the one and the one is the all. And when we spend so much time in our physical logic brain trying to figure out a problem, and you feel that stress and you feel that heaviness and you feel that worry, we are just not in alignment with the answer. And when we finally just surrender, because we are connected to the all that is, then the people who are in our vibration to help us show up. It's the most amazing thing, and I'm sure you've felt it and seen it before. I'm sure a lot of our viewers have experienced this. When we finally just surrender, that solution shows up, that person shows up, that opportunity shows up.
Absolutely. It's amazing when you give up your control, because we're always trying to control everything in our life. And when we give our free will over to a higher power, that is when we're truly living a divine, in the divine blueprint, than us trying to control everything.
Yes. And that divine blueprint, when we surrender to it, it has the solution to everything. And not just something going on now, but things that we were working on in the past, things that we forgot about. It's amazing how it will bring things into our life that we never could have imagined could have happened, because it's that quantum field that's connecting all of us together.
Yes. You know what also I have found in my life, when things are going great and you're in a great, happy place, you're not relying on God or a higher power or source at all. You're just like, things are great. I don't need that. I don't need to be in that deep sense of surrender and prayer because things are great. It's only when we are brought to that breaking point that everybody turns over to God, because there is no other solution. Like we we have found, if I don't go to God, if I don't go to a higher power, I have nothing else. It's at that breaking point. It's those moments when I've been on my knees, pouring my heart out to God to find a solution to things in my life, that's when I become the closest to that divine power.
Yes. And it is absolutely so true. And I felt that in my life as well. And when I feel like there's an issue or a complication and I just cannot find the solution, I always find that when it always happens when I was in a place where I thought things were going really good and it's smooth sailing. And you're right, you forget your source, you forget your God self, you forget. I may be in a flow where I'm meditating every day and I'm doing my thing, but I'm in a routine. I'm not actually truly connected with my highest self. And then all of a sudden we get into that mode where we feel it.
Yes. It's also interesting. I was talking to a friend this week, and he was saying, we've had so many lessons in life that are so hard and difficult. And, we learn obviously from those hard, difficult lessons, but that's not what we're really here to be as a human being, to have these hard, difficult lessons. He goes, I want to learn in a place of joy and peace and love and happiness and still get the same lessons without having to go through such intense pain and suffering, because that's not the way. But that's when you get in that connective flow with source, you can be in that. You can be in the state of bliss and still grow and expand.
Yes.
And we've lost that connection.
And it's so true. One of my favorite books that helps me to really understand what you just said is Conversations with God, because in that book, the author is having a conversation with God and saying, I'm spending all my life struggling, and God's basically saying to him, well, my job is to give you everything you desire. Your job is to ask. My job is to give to you. My job is to only say yes. So when you're in a vibration of, I can't get this to work, or this isn't working out in my life, or I don't know how I'm ever going to make it, or things never work out for me, then I'm just saying, yes, you're right. And then the moment that we surrender and stop doing that, and now we give up that resistance, now we're in a different flow. It's not that you're even asking for the opposite. It's just that you stop that. Now, when you stop that thinking and you've just given up, now that's where you're starting to get more in alignment with the positive. Because if we're stuck in an energy of I don't have this thing that I need, I don't have it, the universe just keeps saying, yes, you're right, and I'll give you the opportunity to experience not having it. But then if we just stop thinking, if we were to just go into neutrality before we even start thinking a positive thought, you just go into neutrality, that's already a more aligned energy with that thing that you desire. So it's easier for that matching energy to come to you. So the first step I tell all the listeners and all the people I talk with is, when you're in that place of funk, just go to neutrality. Just when that thought tries to come in, just dissolve it. Just be present with it and just feel it just dissolving, and just go back to a place of neutrality where you're not thinking anything. There's no positive, there's no negative, it's just neutral.
I agree. We don't realize how our thoughts have such a ripple effect in the quantum field, and that create our reality, because our thoughts do create our reality. We've talked about this before. So if you're in this negative state and place and negative things keep happening in your life, well, what are you thinking? Are you putting out thoughts, oh my God, life sucks. This is never going to happen. I'm going to be poor the rest of my life. I'm never going to have love. I can't find anybody. My health sucks. I'm never going to be healthy. I have this disease. And then you feed on the energy of whatever the doctor told you the disease is, and you manifest more and more and more of everything you're thinking about. And people don't realize that is truly what you're creating, because that's that's what you're putting out there. So when you get to that breaking point where you're at that point, I can't take any more. I have no way out. I'm done. That's when you stop. You stop the cycle of the negative thinking, and you then open yourself up to that quantum field where every single thing, thousands, multiple solutions exist out there.
Mm-hmm. So now, Holly, you and I are very obviously connected with the energy, and we're always very aware of what's going on. Now, in 2024, a lot of conversation has been going on where people have been having a lot of struggles right now. It's almost like their worst fears are coming to them. They're having their hardest times, whether it's relationship or financial or spiritual. They're feeling as though they're feeling this sense of uneasiness, the sense of anxiety, depression. It's like they are being challenged more now than ever before, which is so perfect to our topic. So why do you think it is? Because I know we've heard, I mean, this is the time to do the work. 2023 was the time to let go of the fears. 2024 is to get rid of the last bits of it, because there's major shifts going on. There's major changes of energy, and we're going to see a completely different energy. But why is it that so many people still don't realize what's going on and they're having such a hard time?
Really good question. Again, it all has to do with your consciousness and awareness. And there's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, they haven't expanded their consciousness to recognize that they are a co-creator in the world. They're just going about their life and don't realize the power that they hold. And I really see in the world those of us that are on this awakened path, and being an awakened person is not an easy task. It is, people think you're crazy. You lose friends and family. People don't understand you, but it's something in our wiring. It's in our DNA makeup that we chose to be here now for this moment in time, because our energy was needed on the planet to propel it forward. I almost see us all as, if you look at Earth as the globe, and there's a big net around it, and those of us are awakened are the ones pulling it forward to help raise the awareness of the Earth. And with that, there's struggles. There's so many challenges, and it's everything on the surface of the planet and within the surface, within us is coming to the surface. Everything underneath is coming to the surface to be dealt with. And I see so many people at a breaking point right now that everything is catching up to them in life. It's time to just, this is why this is such a perfect topic today. It's a time to reset ourselves. It's a time to let go of all of our thoughts that have kept us in their old place of being, and just surrender it into a new place of allowing the new energies and the new consciousness and the new way of being to come.
So what you just said is so important. You just said the word surrenders. And so I know, even for, it's so easy when, have you ever gotten to that place where you're in that spiraling and you're in that place of fear and worry? And then it's when someone says to us, you just have to surrender. It's hard, because you can surrender, and then 3 seconds later, the ego brings that thought back again. And then you're like, oh, I'm back in it again. And then you calm yourself, you surrender, you let go, and then you start to feel, okay, all right, this is going to work out. Then it brings that thought back in again. And then it's like training it. And then that thought goes away. You're back in the flow. You're connected with the source, and all of a sudden it comes back in again. So it's interesting. That's at the moment when you can actually see that we're a multifaceted being. That's how you actually know. That's the evidence you're not just human. That's how you know, because one part of your human self is saying, I don't know how this is going to happen, because that's the part of the brain that doesn't have the answer of how it's going to happen. But then there's that part of us that feels that calmness. That's the soul. That's our source. That's always connected to that one source that says, oh, I have the solution. So I'm not worried. I have the solution. So when I'm in that place where I feel like I can't calm my mind to just surrender, that's where I have to have that feeling. I start journaling and I start saying, okay, if I had the solution, what would it be? And all of a sudden, all this energy starts flowing through me, and this inspiration starts flowing through me. It's almost like I'm just free writing, and it's just coming through me. And it's like my higher self is writing out all these different ideas and possibilities and shifts in energy. And then I feel that fear on the other side of that logic brain start to go away.
And the whole big thing with that breaking point, why we get in that, like you were saying, is we start spiraling. Well, what is the spiral? It's all fear-based. It's all our fears consuming us, spiraling us down that, oh my God, like I'm going to die. I'm going to be left on the street, homeless, penniless, have no food. You know, it's our greatest fears come out and make us go in that deep, deep spiral because we probably have past lives where we have been homeless
Correct.
and penniless on the street that have died.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I'm feeling this feeling again. I'm going to be there again. It's never going to happen. I've had those feelings where I thought, oh my God, that's it. I'm going to be, homeless, penniless, no food. And I'm going to be, like the little matchmaker on the street trying to light matches to keep warm. And it never happens, but it's our greatest fears that come and take us down that deep, deep spiral. But
Yes.
there's always a solution. There's always a way when we surrender.
Yes.
And answers show up, people show up, solutions show up, things happen.
Yes. At the second that the problem shows up, the solution's already there.
Yes,
Second it shows up,
absolutely.
yep. So there's always two sides to it. The second the problem is there, the solution's there. And you're right. We have had many past lives where we could have experienced that, where in this lifetime we're like, why am I so afraid of not having enough or living on the streets or this or that? Because we have had lives like that. And when we come back in another life, we come back to heal that. We come back to know that in order for me to be in that place, I had to be in that vibration. I had to have been stuck in an energy that would match the ability to be there. So we also come back in this life with tools that it won't let us get to that point again.
Right.
Even we may have a fear of it, but we brought tools back with us that won't allow us to get to that level again. Because we say, you know what, it doesn't serve me in this lifetime. Like when we're having our review with our angels, and before we come back to this life, we're saying to the angels, all right, listen, I experienced living on the street. I learned that even living on the street, I still, like Neil Donald Walsh said, when he was living in a tent in Oregon, he still, at that point, knew he had everything because he knew his connection to God. And then that's when things started changing. So, a lot of times the soul will allow us to get to that point so we could realize even when you think you have nothing materially, you're still the source. You're the source that put yourself there. You're the source that gets you out of there. So we come fully equipped internally with the ability to change anything, to be anything, to do anything, and have anything we desire. So when we come back in this lifetime, we don't necessarily are going to bring back that tool that would let us get all the way down to that point. Once we hit a point where the thoughts say, I'm going to kind of getting close to that negative thinking, we're going to have that visceral response, that incredible stress, that fear show up with that alarm saying, don't even go there. And then something brings us back, or we're able to calm ourselves, and then boom, the solution shows up. We see the answer right there.
Well, you said something that's so key, and this is the link why we reach that breaking point, why we get in that downward spiral. And that is because we have lost our connection to source. We are trying to do it ourselves. We forgot to draw on the energy and be connected every moment of our life to source, to a higher power, to the unseen God that exists in every single thing. That's why we go and get to that breaking point, because our connection has been broken. And those breaking points are really to bring you back to source, to recognize that you are not your own source. Like there is something greater outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's really it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Another thing that is key, you say you journal. I also, when I get to those points, I will sit and journal. I'll say, okay, so what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, I'm going to have no food. Okay, so what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to be homeless. Okay, so what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to die. Okay, we all die.
Mm-hmm.
Dying is part of being alive. It's as much part as being alive as being um, not being here. We are just merely a spiritual being having a human experience. So when you realize that we're just in this avatar body experiencing a form of life, we still go on and we keep living. We don't like just become in darkness and don't have any consciousness again.
Yes.
So when we get to that point, and I think the greatest thing in those breaking points is the fear of death. When you're not afraid of death, when you can just surrender to, if I die, okay, I'll come back in another form or
Mm-hmm.
another lifetime or go on to another realm and have another experience. When you get over the fear of death, then you find freedom,
Yes.
because then all of these other struggles and the things that we put into our mind that we make up that put us in a spot, it doesn't matter. None of
Yes.
it matters. And I've come to, I don't know if you've ever, I've come face to face with death on dealing with when you are diagnosed having cancer,
Mm-hmm.
that you face your ultimate reality. Like so many people, that's a death sentence. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I could take this and I can just say, that's it, I'm done. Or I can say, no, find me solutions, find answers, give me something else. And I've been in those moments where that's where I've been on my knees, absolutely
Yes.
giving it all up and saying, if I die, I die. But, I'm not going to be afraid of it.
Yes. And that's actually where we actually die the death of the old version of us that allowed that energy to be put there to create that illness or to create that situation. When we surrender, we are actually letting go of that old version, and I've done that as well. And I've truly just surrendered. And it really is this feeling, you can feel it, like you're letting go, you're dying the death of that old version of you that does not serve you anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's a newer version, and the purpose of all of this is to coexist each and every moment of our lives from here on forward, being in that connection with source, with God, with
Mhm.
that unseen God, and seeing it, him, her, this consciousness in every single living thing, in all beings, in the plants, in the animals, in the trees, in nature. It all exists as one because
Yeah,
we are connected in that fabric of life.
that's exactly right. And when we really think about it in that way, the trees don't worry if the sun's going to come up the next day. They expect it. The trees don't worry when the next rainstorm is coming. The trees know that everything they need is going to be there for them. You know, the
Exactly.
the birds in the trees don't worry. Is there going to be a worm tomorrow? Is there going to be They just know it. They expect it. Everything around us, all the animals, all of nature has this energy of expectation and love and gratitude. They just expect it. With our human mind, though, we bring in that logic that says, well, logically, I don't know how this is going to happen. But when we let go of that and we enter into the higher self, that's where it enters into that source of infinite possibility, which when we're really in the flow, we are literally connected to infinite intelligence.
Right. I shared with you the other day, when people pray, they're basically pleading with God. Most people plead with God, oh God, please, bring me this. This is, take this away from me and help me and bring me love or, money or whatever it is they want. Our prayers should all be like in nature. It's already there. Thank you. Be in gratitude. Thank you, God, for providing my food. Thank you, God, for the love of my life to show up. Thank you, God, for my health. Thank you, God, because it's already there. Just live in gratitude. That is the greatest thing we can do when we are each and every moment of our life in gratitude because it's already there. We don't have to ask, just like nature doesn't ask. It's there.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's an ebb and flow. And when you see nature, nature is an ebb and flow, just like, the trees give off oxygen, which is what we need. We give off carbon dioxide, which is what the trees need. It is just done naturally. Everything is done naturally. The problem is we get our mind in the way. Our mind blocks us and sends us down these deep spirals that stop our ability to be in that flow and be in constant gratitude. If
Yeah.
you're in that energy of gratitude, every minute of the day, it shifts you. You just know miracles are going to show up. Things are going to happen. You're going to get a phone call. Somebody new is going to show up in your life. Something will come in the mail. You'll get an email or something magical. Like I live in the moment every day that miracles and magic happen every day. I expect that.
Yes, that's exactly right. And when you expect it, we get what we expect,
Yes.
right?
Because it's the energy, it's our thoughts, it's our consciousness.
Yes.
That's the energy we're putting out there.
Yes. And that reminds me of a story. It was about 4 years ago, and I was reading a book by Gabby Bernstein about the universe has your back, and there was a part in the book where she was talking about trusting your angels, and it's hard to trust something that you can't see. So when you're first learning about it, first understanding that your angels are all around you, she said, test this. Ask your angels for proof. Ask them for a sign. You can make it anything you want. So she was saying how she would ask to see a penny, and then a penny would show up. So I was listening to in my car on the way up to my office, and I said, okay, angels, I know that you're listening. I know you're with me always. So I want you to show me a sign, a specific sign. I want you to show me a ladybug. And I was driving up to my office. It was in the winter, so there weren't really a lot of ladybugs around. And it was just a random, Tuesday in the winter. And I had said that and then totally forgot that I had said it. And then I go back and keep listening to more stuff. And then I get to my office and I walk into into the front area, and then I see something on the wall, like a little spot, and I walk up closer to it, and it was a ladybug. And there are no ladybugs by my office. I've never seen ladybugs by my office. We don't have any bushes by our office or anything for ladybugs. And it was literally in my office on the wall, and that was the confirmation. So that just shows the proof that when we think that there's no answer, that means we are truly not tapping in to our mental faculties. We're not tapping into the power that we brought with us when we came forth and came back to earth. It wasn't just us alone. It was our angels promising us, I will always be with you. You're not going to know right away that we're here with you. But if you choose to come to learn that we're here to help you, then you can call on us anytime you want and we will help you. So when you know you have that as well, and you could feel that peace and calmness with it, that's where things manifest very quickly also.
That's a key thing. Most people don't ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that in asking God or your angels for help, they are there to assist you.
Yes.
They are there to help you, but we don't ask. They're not going to just, we have free will as a human being.
Yes.
If we don't ask, they can't infringe upon our free will.
Correct.
So they will just sit back and see us suffering, and we'll be like, oh my God, like life sucks. Nothing's happening. My life just keeps getting worse. I don't see any miracles. I don't see anything happening in my life. But that's your thought you're putting out, and you're not asking for help. So, realize there is so much assistance outside of ourselves in the realm.
Yes.
That we just have to ask.
Correct.
We just need to get our mind out of the way and stop our stinking thinking, which
Yes.
keeps us locked in a box in a downward spiral of absolute defeat. And God doesn't want us to suffer.
No.
At all.
No.
Our suffering is really self-infringed by the vibration we're putting out in our thoughts.
Yes. Absolutely. And the reason why suffering feels so bad is because we have an emotional guidance system. And when suffering feels bad, it's because it's your soul saying to you, I don't agree with you. I will never agree with this belief that you're thinking.
Right.
So the ego stands here saying, this is the worst case scenario. And the soul says, no, it's not. There's an easy way out of this.
Right.
So when we stop that fear, now we move back into that energy of the soul, and the answer is right there. So like you're saying, at the precipice of destruction, when we find that peace, that's where the answer always is.
There is, I can't remember specifically how this goes, but there was a story of 4 wives. I don't know if you have ever heard of this.
Now tell me.
And one of the wives was the body, where they adorned the body with all, beautiful things. And when the person was on their deathbed, they went to the wife, will you come with me in the afterlife? And they were like, no, it was all the riches that they've inhabited in this lifetime. The last wife, who they neglected and ignored, I'd have to find it and we could post it maybe with this. The last wife that's been neglected the entire lifetime of this person's life, this person went to them on their deathbed and said, will you come with me in the afterlife? And said, yes, I will. Well, it was the person's soul. We never give our soul any love, attention, talk to it, realize it is the most important part of our human existence.
Yes.
It is there with us. It sits in silence. It watches us suffer. It watches us do these, horrible things to our body, our mind.
Yes.
But it's always there waiting for us to connect with it, because it comes with us. It's what takes us to the afterlife. It's there for us, and we need to get in touch with our soul.
Yes.
And have a daily communion with the soul.
So true. It is absolutely so true. And we the people, they will do horrible things to their body, addictions and everything, because they're just trying to escape the horror that the ego is just filling them with. And once, I heard a great quote once from someone. They said, learn to control your mind or it will enslave you forever. And it's so true. When we cannot get into the soul and we're stuck in the ego and we're stuck in the physical, it is a nightmare. It could be the worst life experience. And we've all experienced it. And we've all, because we've had many lifetimes. And, the evolution of the soul goes through that, saying that was the worst life ever. Why would I want to come back? Because the soul says, so I can realize that that's not how life is. It's much better than that. So, as we evolve, we realize we don't have to get stuck in a negative thought pattern. And anything we do in the beginning to try and erase those thoughts through alcohol or drugs or other kind of addictions, we realize we don't need it because we're the source. And once we come to that place of understanding, the addiction goes away.
Correct.
Yeah.
And all those addictions are escaping this reality.
Yes.
People are not happy with their life and they want to just numb themselves from it so that they do not get to experience it and feel it. They don't want to feel. They want to numb their feelings to just get through another day.
Exactly.
And that will never, ever be the answer. It's not the solution. It creates more problems for you.
Correct. That's absolutely true.
I can say I watched a brother of mine suffer from severe alcoholic and drug addiction. And no matter what I would say to him, it would not have him stop because he was trapped in his mind with his thoughts and he didn't want to feel. He didn't want to heal.
Yes.
You have to heal whatever that emotional wound is in your life. You have to heal it in order to be set free. And if you don't want to feel it and heal it, you're going to run to other forms to numb yourself so you don't ever feel.
Right. Absolutely. 100% true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is where we're at right now in society. Everybody's at a breaking point, but look at this breaking point that we on a planet are at and experiencing as a collective. We're not breaking down. We're breaking through. We're breaking through the cycle that we bought into of how this world and we were supposed to be as co-creators on it. We're creating a brand new way of existing on the planet. That's why everything that's been done under the surface is being brought to the surface to be dealt with, both on the planet and within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to look at it, heal it, and then break through to the other side of living consciously as a awakened being on here to have the planet and all inhabitants elevate to be coexisting and realize that we are one with source in everyone and everything.
Yes, that is so true. It absolutely is. So, Holly, this was amazing. As we wrap this up, I really see the importance of understanding the power of surrender. I really see the importance of understanding that we are never alone. I understand the importance of getting to that point where we feel like where our back is against the wall. That's where we realize that that's just the illusion, that we are infinite possibility, we are infinite intelligence, and everything we could ever desire is already there. We just have to line up the energy to see it. So I hope that this podcast really helps our listeners to get an understanding of that much better.
Yes. And if you are going through a breakdown in your life, if you are having massive suffering and pain, recognize it as a good thing. Because as you and I have said, all we are doing is having experiences, but we label them as good or bad.
Yes.
These experiences are neither good nor bad. They're just an experience. Okay, I have experienced homelessness. I've experienced lack. I have experienced, sickness. Whatever that experience is, it's just an experience. But don't label it as something good or bad. And see it as a way to propel you forward to be a more empowered being and to basically align your toolbox as being a human being with more tools that you have experienced these experiences and you can help others to get through to the other side where they recognize that they are connected to Source at all times. They are never alone and ask for help. You have help, you have angels, you have God sitting there waiting in the wings for you just to say, please help me.
Yes, so true. Well, thank you so much, Holly. This was such a great podcast. It was so much fun doing this with you.
It was great. I mean, we could talk about this forever because this is a subject I'm so passionate about.
Absolutely. So I hope our viewers really enjoyed this, and I will see you on our next podcast, Holly.
Great. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining Healing Through Love, and please stay tuned for future shows. And join us as we spread the power of love.